Now, I believe there are only really 4 ways to unlock insane focus on command, or at least very, very quickly. These things will make you tap into that zone, tap you into that flow state faster, and maybe even make you outwork your competition, or in fact everyone else. Because as you implement these 4 things I'm about to tell you and compare yourself to the average student that's putting Netflix on whilst they're studying, having some snacks in the corner, eating some carb fucking chocolate butter croissant or some shit like that whilst they're studying, you will outwork them. In your 1 hour, you will do their 4 hours of work. The first step is fasting or intermittent fasting. Both can work. Fasting is a very, very foreign concept to most people anyways, but essentially all you really need to know, you can look this up if you don't believe me, right? Fasting is extremely healthy for the average individual who still eats like 3 meals per day, and it's all about carbs, and he's literally still following like the food pyramid from school or whatever, right? The carbohydrate, and you gotta have your vegetables and your meats, eat less meat or some shit like that. But essentially fasting, and especially working during your fasting, that will improve your productivity by like 2 times. Now, if you just think about this, what is digestion? Digestion is turning your food into some weird fucking brown matter, taking all of the nutrients out of maybe you're eating steak or whatever, or maybe eating a burger. Even worse if you're eating a burger, right? Because the fucking bun's been through like a bunch of refined processing. They literally have to add vitamins and nutrients back into the bun to make it more healthy, right? That's how depleted of nutrients it is. And just for your body to digest all of that, literally turn a delicious burger or a delicious steak into some fucking brown matter. You know how much processing that requires, how much energy, how much mental energy that requires. Like, that energy is all put into your digestive, and therefore your brain doesn't work and you're more lethargic after eating especially a carby meal. Because whether you're gluten intolerant or not, gluten is still a very, very hard thing for the human to process. And so I think there are basically 2 forms of fasting. One is the basic type of fasting that, honestly, if you incorporate into your daily life, you wouldn't really count it as fasting anymore. You count it as just living life. So the first form of fasting is the basic intermittent fasting. This is where you skip breakfast and only eat lunch or dinner. And believe me, if you have this self-limiting doubt that I once had, on you can't bulk, I have to eat 6 meals per day to bulk, I can't bulk up, I have to eat breakfast. I've bulked up before, and I've bulked up when I've eaten lunch and dinner only. And you have to eat especially more carbs at like dinner or lunch, because at dinner you can afford to eat more carbs, right? You're not really doing any work after dinner, you're kind of just relaxing, and when you eat carbs you get serotonin and you feel more relaxed, and you aren't just like, you're sort of lethargic and you're ready to sleep basically. And so essentially you can just go ahead and try skip breakfast and work during your breakfast, and then chances are, if you skip your breakfast, work super hard during your breakfast and only eat lunch, you'll actually like the lunch more. You'll make the food taste better. It's more primal. You'll be more glad for the sheep or the chicken that died for your lunch. You'll be more glad because by the time you want to eat lunch, you'll be already salivating. But the second type of fasting is something I've only done once, but it is extremely powerful. I'd say it is like 4 times your productivity. The thing we mentioned before, right, the intermittent fasting, skipping breakfast, that was 2 times. This is 4 times, and this is doing a 24-hour water fast. Or actually, you can drink more things other than water. You can drink like coffee with salt in it, and the salt helps you reduce your cravings and so on. Once again, you can look this up if you don't believe me, but the salt actually makes you reboost your electrolytes, and it reduces your cravings, because a lot of the time when you need to eat something or you feel like you want to eat something, it is only because you need a little bit more salt. But how I did this 24-hour fast was starting at 3 p.m. I had my last meal. This wasn't intentional, right? This was completely random, because like for a couple of weeks I've been thinking about the 24-hour fast. So at 3 p.m. I had this large carby meal at this Italian restaurant with my mum. Bam, dinner comes along, and I don't feel like eating around like 6 or 7, right? I do not feel hungry at all. And at 8, And that is when I started feeling a bit hungry. But it's time to go to sleep now, right? And it's a common rule to have your last meal of the day at least 3 hours away from bed. And so I can't explain why this is insanely good for your productivity. You just have to try this on your own, because I don't have like this scientific literature. But essentially what I felt was a increased feeling of clarity in my mind when I was doing the 24-hour fast the day tomorrow. And you have to go to sleep a little bit hungry, right? That's why I did. I was a little bit too hungry that I debated myself whether I should go and cook a steak or not and then go to sleep. But thankfully I didn't, right? And tomorrow I experienced the most productive work session of my life. I recorded like 4 videos, script those 4 videos, and like started editing one and posted one on the same day. And I guess if you want to know the health benefits for the 24-hour fast, is it literally like burns off your fat, keeps your muscle, it boosts your testosterone, I'm pretty sure. It resets your insulin sensitivity so that you literally reset the amount of food you actually need. Like if you're on a 6 meal per day diet or regime, you'll literally want a meal after like 2 hours or so. And that's your hunger time frame. Whereas this, it resets your hunger time frame to like needing 1 meal per day. That's literally how powerful it is. And it also is a chance for you to reset your caffeine sensitivity if you don't drink any caffeine. But the rules for it is basically don't eat, drink a bunch of water, have some salt in whatever you drink, your tea, your coffee, and that is the diet. Now the second thing is work when you wake up. Now there are 2 forms of this. One is something that high achievers do, like Alex Hormozi and Rian Doris. As soon as they wake up, within 90 seconds of them waking up, they are on their computers doing stuff. And that puts them into this flow state, into the zone of work very, very fucking fast. But I unfortunately can't do that. And essentially what I do instead is like a sort of more healthier version of that. I don't like the idea of waking up and literally just sitting there and working. It feels unhealthy to me. So I go downstairs, I drink a bunch of water, go to the toilet, go outside, stand in the sunlight for a little bit. But there's not much sunlight in England now anyways, but I have to get some sunlight in my eyes or some light in my eyes, just as a rule for general overall health from a guy called Andrew Huberman. And then I go back upstairs and work. And then for my lunch, I will drink caffeine. I don't drink caffeine for my work bout because apparently you can't drink caffeine within 90 minutes of you waking up. Otherwise, it will give you like a caffeine crash in the afternoon. Now, why this works is because it gives you opportunity to just go straight into the work without any distractions, without you checking any messages, without you dilly-daddling around. It gives you an opportunity to straight up just go to your work, and then once you've done like 3 or 4 hours of hard work, you can then experience extreme joy when you're eating because you've worked super hard. Now the third thing is a to-do list. I used to be a fanatic about to-do lists, like a straight fucking timestamp to-do list at this o'clock, 7 a.m, 8 a.m, do this, and I was like that for a while, right? But I'll admit recently I've made a mistake and I've gone a little bit complacent with my to-do list. I've literally just wrote down work on your videos. But the thing is here, you got to make it specific. You got to have a sort of timestamp to-do list. You have to be very specific. Like what I wrote down, right? Just work on your video. That can work if you're at a very high level of self-improvement already, but over time it fucks you up over. And this is what happened to me, right? Instead of writing just work on your video or work on your project, work on your business, you have to write down the specific tasks you are doing and then what you're going to do after that task and what that task is going to lead to, and just write down everything, right? Don't just write a big category. Think what is in this task. Maybe there's like 3 other small tasks in this task to fully complete this task, right? So write down those 3 as well. And then that will give you a clear plan for the day on what to actually do. And it will keep you accountable in a way. Now the 4th way is having a difficulty challenge skills threshold. This is where you have to make sure your task is a little bit above your comfort zone. So for example, a very easy task would be something that's monotonous and you haven't really progressed anything in that task. It's just something you do every single day over and over again. But here's where the magic comes in. If you have a task that is slightly above your comfort zone, a little bit difficult, and you go and attempt to get that task done, it will actually put you into flow state, it will put you into the zone faster. But you have to make sure it isn't too challenging. Too challenging, you can get overwhelmed and you can literally go back and forth and then end up being busy but not productive. Busy, but you feel like you haven't done anything. That is what you can end up doing if you have a overwhelming task, and you can't have it being too easy. So you gotta find the best place which is like a little bit above your comfort zone. And you can do this by setting yourself a goal for the task or trying the task differently. For example, if I'm recording, I'm gonna try and speak in a more concise way. But just as a bonus tip, it's very, very important whilst you apply all of these. And it's that you must not get frustrated at yourself. If you one day just wake up and you're trying to work and it doesn't really work out, your brain doesn't really give you anything and you're kind of just dull and monotonous, you don't really have this enthusiasm and you can't really get any work done, nothing's moving. The worst thing you can do is get frustrated at yourself and like slap yourself around, like force yourself to do something, like literally shut all your blinds and put headphones on and work. That is actually going to harm you a lot more than you think. In fact, probably 80% of the time why you're feeling dull and monotonous and you get frustrated at yourself is because you're in the phase of struggle. So flow phase, getting into the zone of the work has 4 phases, right? Struggle, release, flow, and then like relaxation or some shit. And struggle is the first phase where your brain is giving you cortisol. Cortisol is this stress hormone and it makes you like feel like shit, right? And essentially there's like a 20 minutes of you just being frustrated and your brain getting ready for the work. It's literally gathering all of the resources, looking at the material and thinking. And then once the 20 minutes of struggle phase pass by, you get into the flow phase and then everything's seamless. So maybe it's just a matter of time. Maybe you just have to sit there in silence, or in fact the best case scenario is you just go through the motions anyways, even if you're not feeling that day and somehow the struggle phase is like lasting a fucking hour or so. Go through the motions, because the worst thing you can do is just not do anything and then go down a rabbit hole of social media or some shit. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching. In a bit.